Well, alrighty then. This is Kat, and we are going to do a negative space treat right now. This is my panel. I'm actually using a piece of canvas board that's been gessoed black, and I have a graphite pencil, my favorite thing. Okay, this is one of the only projects I have that I teach that I have rules. So there are, what are the rules? There's probably four rules, but I'll just tell you. Okay, first rule. Rule A, draw 2 straight lines, not in the middle, off to the side just a little bit of your panel, from the top all the way to the bottom, top to bottom. This is like Simon Says. That's part A, number 1. Next, draw 5 smaller, like probably half the size of this, other lines going off from this one all the way to the edge of your panel. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And whether it's square or rectangle or how big it is, same thing. Odd numbers are more interesting, so we're doing variety. That's what we're doing. Next, this is the kind of the last part. I call these twigs. They can be sticks. You can make them. This is probably my favorite part, is when people start doing these, because everybody does them differently, and they always end up looking really vibrant. But gosh, this is one of my favorite projects because the rules are pretty basic, but then everybody does it differently. It's pretty fun. So let's see, so filling all the space here, what you're doing is you're dividing up the spaces. That's what we're doing. Making different sections, because this is a lesson about blending color, really, and kind of playing with color. Also, what you want is these little lines to overlap. You want them to intersect so that you've got different spaces. I tend to leave a little bit of room here. I don't have them go all the way off the panel because I like having a little space at the bottom there. Alrighty, the next step is to paint, our favorite part. You can do there's any number of ways that you can do this. What I often do with my students is I have them go do a gradation from one shade to another. For example, here in my palette box, you could do from yellow to green to blue. Start yellow, go up to green, and then up to blue. You could do yellow to peachy to pink to, and you could go red to purple. You could go light blue to dark blue. It's up to you how you want to do that. I like this to be kind of a lesson in color, and sometimes I teach this as a colored pencil lesson where you're blending with colored pencil, and you have to start with one secondary color and move up to another secondary color. Secondary colors being the oranges, the greens, and the purples. So you could go from green through yellow to orange, or green through blue to purple, something like that. What will I do today? Kind of felt like being blue. I'm going to try going blue to purple. So I'll start with a lighter blue, maybe almost white down here in the bottom. And what you're doing is you are painting you're painting in the spaces between those pencil strokes. That's the rule here. So, this is the rule. Don't touch the pencil. So if you paint right up on top of the pencil, then you're no longer gonna have that little pencil line there. So you want that. That's what we want. That's pretty important, that little pencil line. Let's see. So there. And yep. Yeah, I have a tendency to move things around. So hopefully you can see how this is already starting to show up. Let's see. And I unfortunately just made this video and I'm remaking it because I didn't have the sound on in the last one. So I can show you 2 versions of this. Maybe I'll speed that one up and tap it onto the end of this one just so you can see 2 different versions. But part of what I love too is the variety of colors that end up down here. Do you already see how many different shades of blue I'm getting? I know I have kind of a teal in here. I'm cheating a little bit today. It's a lovely color. So I'm not just sticking with my standard phthalo. I actually put a little extra in here. And I'm kind of enjoying it. I might be going blue to green or something here instead. I'm getting paint on my table. So I guess the reason I was telling you that I've done one of these already 5 minutes ago is that I can't remember what things I just said in that one that I want to say again in this one. What do I want to say? Try to not touch your pencil lines. Try to mix a little bit of a different color with each one. It's thinking of it like a 1 stroke per color is kind of a good way to go with this, because it's that variety of color that makes it so interesting. And you really do want to avoid touching the pencil lines. Seriously, that's what I'm trying to do. So up here now I'm going a little bit darker. Actually, maybe I'll go more darker than that. Just a little. And I'm going to pull just a little bit of my dark blue down in some spots down there so that it looks a bit more related. This is a project that can also be very meditative. It's actually difficult to talk while I'm doing it because my brain wants to just stick with these problems that I'm presenting it with, and I want to just solve them. Like, how do I get the color in there? Where is my brush wet? Like, where is the juiciest spot on my brush? Have you guys noticed that? I'm kind of squishing my brush down a little bit so that most of the paint goes back on the palette, and then I can stick it in there and get the juiciest bits. I prefer painting on panel to painting on the canvas because the canvas grabs my brush more. But if I have my brush pretty well loaded, then I can get a lot of color on there. Now see, I don't feel like I did much changing of colors in that one. So I'm gonna we'll go over here. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like I'm not shifting colors as much as I would like to. How can I change them a little bit more? I might even pull, I don't know, I don't know if I've ever gone to green from blue. Maybe, oops, dang it. See, I painted over a brush. I painted over a stick there. Did you see it? You understand what I'm stuttering about? La la la. Let's see. So this is also, oh, and blah, blah, blah. I started doing this kind of painting a while back when I had a mentor, Tina Nemitz, who told me or said something along the lines of, what are you gonna do, paint dogs your whole life? You gotta do something else for a while. So I started painting the sky. And I developed this idea from painting the sky. And see how hard it is to talk and paint at the same time? I'm serious, people. You should give it a go. It's probably really good for your brain. What was I saying? Oh, so I started painting power poles. My dad was an electrician. And I started, I think it was around, yeah, I started painting power poles, and my mom and I had started painting on black. I think she discovered a tub of black gesso somewhere, and so we started playing with that, and painting trees was fascinating. Like, looking at the space between the branches, and not, like, how do you see the thing if you can't see what's around the thing? So that's why I really enjoy this project so much, because you're not painting the thing, you're painting the stuff around the thing. And it just feels a little bit more, I don't know, rich somehow, because you're giving us the space around it. I don't know that I've really ever done one green before. This is kind of fun. And you can interpret this in so many ways. Like, am I painting the leaves around the tree, or am I painting the space between? Am I painting the sky? I don't know. What is this? So it's just kind of delightful just to be able to sit here and paint. I hope you enjoy it too. I did do a all blue one once where I went from dark blue to light blue. It's pretty big. I think my friend Malia's got that one. And it was also on the cover of a local magazine here in Minneapolis, but I cannot remember the name of the magazine right now. It's probably somewhere in my CV, somewhere, my brag book of things that I've done that are worth mentioning. A lot of which is just happening to be in the right place at the right time. Some of you probably know about that kind of a deal, being in the right place at the right time. Yep, I do remember somebody saying that once too when I was an art student, that with art, you have to just keep being ready. Like, you got to be prepared. You don't know when the next opportunity is going to come. And if you're sitting there and you've got work that's ready to go and somebody says, oh my gosh, I had somebody canceled, do you know somebody who's got work ready to hang? I've gotten a couple shows that way. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about negative space trees. Okay, I'm probably just about done with this. So there's my basic little tree. I don't remember whether I said this or not, but I do not tend to paint in the trunks at all. I really don't want to paint in the trunk, personally. To me, the trunk staying black is part of the beauty of this. So I let it be what it's going to be. And to me, this would be pretty close to done. I might sign on the trunk kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So that I've got my signature showing on the black, but I'm pretty pleased with this. So this is not something that takes a ton of time. Of course, it can take a ton of time, and I know that I paint faster than most normal people, but yeah, there we go. All right, I'm gonna close this off.